You know, what should women look for? What should they be doing? How do they get involved in groups that support them in being able to bring these different perspectives into cybersecurity and support each other? So anyone, you guys can jump in. Do you want
I
to
can
start?
go on. So you,
okay.
Okay. So, and speaking, so as far as mentoring, so I, you know, I think it's one of, again, I think we've all been saying it already, how important it is. I would say though, there are so many resources out there today that we just did not have 10, 15, 20 plus years ago. And every time, when I meet folks, I kind of rattle off a list of, do you belong to this organization? Are you, have you looked into this organization? And I go on, and I know we have a resource list, hopefully that we will share after this webinar. But I think it's so important to just find the community of support within where you are geographically located, or some of them are just virtual. It doesn't matter where you're at, right? But it is important to kind of find and be around like-minded people so they can help you kind of navigate these challenges. Because it's really, it's really hard. It can be hard sometimes, depending on where you're at and what you're doing. In some fields, we talk about 20% of women in cybersecurity, but there's some, sectors in the field, when we talk about like industrial control systems and such, and I know Dr. Reem could probably speak on this, where you're talking about single digits probably of women representation, right? So it's really important to find that tribe, as we call it, and that really that sister circle, or that, women's support group to help. So that's kind of one of the things I help around with my mentees. One of the things also is I find that a lot of women, they're so excited, they get into their first job in cybersecurity, and then they don't understand the dynamics of it, right? Meaning evaluations, how to be careful, who you align yourself with, right? Finding allies, making sure you understand what are those office dynamics, which really happens in general, right? When someone finds their first job. But with cybersecurity, a lot of times these women they don't realize, they said, whoa, oh my goodness, I didn't know I would be one of only 2 women in the office. They hear it's male dominated, but then they're thinking, oh, well, when I went in for my interview, there was a woman in my interview. So I thought, oh, this is great, they brought a woman. Well, she was the only other woman in the office, right? So it's one of those things where I try to explain to them, to make sure it's okay to ask them, what are your diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives? That's something that we can ask, we could not ask those things back then, but we can now. What are your work-life balance? So I explain to them things they can ask. You could do research online on the company and see what they feel is important and what kind of platforms they have. That also gives you a sense of the environment you're walking yourself into, right? What kind of environment it may be. So I think it's important, for mentoring to support really all of holistically of what a woman's going through in this field. I would also say sponsorship, and I know that's something people sometimes say is interchangeably, and we know it's not, right? There's a whole difference between mentorship. It's the cheerleader, as Vandana had said earlier, right? It's really support and cheerleading. But I've been really blessed to have had some sponsors. They've been all male sponsors, but it doesn't matter. I know we're going to talk about allies, right? But I've been blessed to have sponsors, folks who said, oh, this opportunity, I know the perfect person for this opportunity. And they put me in that position. I had no clue about the position, right? But it was one of those things where it was a project that was coming around. They knew it had to get done by a deadline, and they knew, I was the person to get it done. So I think, I tell mentees, be strategic, align yourself, figure out the office dynamics, because at the end of the day, you're building your social capital that will really follow you, you know, throughout your career. So I'll leave it at that. So that's where, yes, I think it's important to share.
Excellent.
If I may also add to Dr. Amelia's point in mentorship, I believe in sharing stories, and I hope this story resonates with many here. In becoming who I am, as Vandana and Amelia said, I had two male mentors in my career-wise. Yes, I had my mom as my role model and even my grandma. But when it comes to the career, my first mentor, who was my direct supervisor, he was very much, let's say, challenging and cruel at that time. I understood it as cruel. However, he was putting me into a challenging mode, and he shared with me his vision. He said, I want to make out of you a wild card, a joker, wherever I can inject you, you will become a success factor. And he has been injecting me in all type of fields in IT. So I did the web design, I did the networking, I did the WiMAX in the assets and the fields. I did even the departmental applications, and I was overwhelmed, and I didn't take the flow of the new employee, because in my company the new employee goes with familiarization programs and all of that, and I got my colleagues from college going in that wonderful flourish and pinky familiarization period, while I was injected into projects from day one, exploring the challenges one day after day. And I was overwhelmed at that time, but he was always my mentor. He was always transparent, and he gave me that vision. And he said, this is my vision, and I seek to take your investment and your buy-in. Being transparent at that stage, although there was burnout, there was overwhelming, but today, becoming who I am, and also the sponsor, the manager also promoted me, or actually sponsored me into lead a digital oil fields initiative from an IT perspective. So they found, as Dr. Amelia said, the one who does the work, the one who can lead the whole IT perspectives into that task force. So there are sponsors in my career, there are mentors in my career who has contributed into making me capable and ready to handle the challenging role of being a CISO in a very huge oil and gas. And this doesn't come, I know that God puts us in a journey that relates to where we're ending up. And at that time during this journey, we never figure it out. We sometimes pray and go and, complain to our peers about this supervisor, he's killing me, how come he's doing this? But after a couple of years, all this knowledge really contributes to give you the holistic understanding from where I am standing now today. When I look at all of these environments in my company, I understood them. I know how to secure them because I've been there. I got my hands dirty. At that time, I was very much, criticizing, overwhelming, burning out, and I never understood the wisdom from that. But today, we have to have faith in God that He's putting and Allah and putting us, different challenges. As I said, there's opportunities. You might not look at these opportunities at that time, but at a later stage, you will say, wow, I'm really ready to take these big responsibilities. And maybe Vandana is now going through that journey right now. And Vandana, just believe that at the end of that tunnel, you will be very much prepared through all of these challenges to handle the responsibility with, stand still and powerful position. So mentors, and irrespective of their genders, for me, there was my mentor, and currently I have another mentor, which is male, who has been guiding me, learning, teaching me throughout the way in how to leadership, how to handle all of these political and strategical aspects as well. We do need mentors, and in One Woman Cybersecurity Middle East, because we understand the powerful of this program we're going to launch in March, this mentorship program. And what really makes it wonderful that our mentees is not only in cyber, some of them is in skills, soft skills, some of them in stress management, because we know our ladies will go in different and various burnouts. So some of them is specialized in how to handle stress, how to build up your confidence in yourself, which is all required. It's not about technical skills, by the way. In cybersecurity, you have to have the full package. You need to work on your skills at different areas. And this is what really makes the diversity in your mentorship program really adds the value to your mentees. And this is what we're working on in our Women Cybersecurity Middle East group which we're going to launch in March, and with the help again with our women in cyber from all over the world as well.
Yeah, very well said, Dr. Reem. And to add on to your and Dr. Amelia's point, um, I also have actually, when I got my first mentor, that was a male mentor who was my supervisor back then. And I think that person was so strict with me that I realized that why that person has to be strict with me. And over the years, I have realized that it's important that some people always have a good faith for you and have always a positive feeling for you. And that's why it's been 11 years that I've left that organization, but still I am in touch with that person. Every now and then we speak, and sometimes I don't have to explain what I'm going through, but then the other person understand that yes. And while you are speaking to somebody, you get your answers that this is what you should be doing. They might not tell you, but then you realize that this is what the things should be. So I think that way mentorship is really, really important. And while I was going through, we started off with something called InfosecGirls and now InfosecKids, wherein we thought that mentorship is very, very important for anyone and everyone. And it doesn't need to be one like one mentor, it could be multiple mentors. And there is one thing my mentor says, that you don't need to idolize the other person. You might look at all the positives, but then if something negative happens, you will feel that, oh, I was idolizing that person. So he specifically says that you like the things that I'm doing right now, or the discussions that we are having, but I do have my negative sides. I do have some points where I need to grow. So remember one thing: never idolize anyone, but always look on the brighter side, which you can learn and grow from there. So there are some projects that you might be good at, he might not be, she might not be, but you're getting a learning. And also I've seen that mentors always feel good if you grow yourself, and might be even more than them. So it's always a surreal journey between mentors and mentees. Always look for a group nearby. As Danyetta said, that any groups, if you feel there is a group that actually matches your vision, that you what you're looking for, the kind of ideal the kind of things that they are sharing with the group, go ahead and join it. Never ever give a second thought to it. But if you feel there is no group, go ahead and start one. Be the first one, or be the change you want to see around you.
Yes, that was I was just going to add on to that, Vandana. Thank you so much. Is that one of the things organizations, Women in Cybersecurity, that I belong to, some of us got together and actually founded an affiliate that is covers the Mid-Atlantic and the Washington, D.C. metro area. And the same thing is that we saw a need, right, for a regional kind of a smaller chapter, because, you know, a lot of the women didn't understand or know about opportunities. And we wanted to be able to network and share, because we understand that builds a stronger community. So it's absolutely important. You know, peer mentoring is really, you know, we support each other. Here, we're supporting each other. So I tell people all the time, mentoring doesn't stop. This is, you know, your life, right? It's constantly, you know, you're being mentored and you're mentoring people. And this is just how we support and keep things going. And Vandana, you said it too, especially in cybersecurity. And I think Dr. Reem had mentioned this too. It is impossible to know everything that's going on. It's just too vast a field. You have to lean on other people for that knowledge. I mean, there's no way you can learn everything in this field. And that's what makes it so interesting too, right? It's so dynamic and it keeps us on our toes, right? But for you to be able to maneuver and understand what is happening, to at least articulate and have a conversation, you have to work with people and collaborate and share and mentor each other on some of these technologies, because it's just too much actually in the field. So I love mentoring. I love being mentored, and I love, just supporting the community.
Well, excellent, women. I mean, this conversation, especially one of the comments that Dr. Reem made about trusting and having faith in the journey, right? The mentors showed up, and I'll even share a little bit about my journey. I've worked, as she mentioned earlier, with the Department of Defense and with DA. And one of the tough parts of that journey was that I did get a lot of sexual harassment. But at the same time, I also there found a lot of great sponsors and mentors, people that showed up, that were willing to say, you know what, regardless of what a few people are doing, and you can find that in any workplace, we believe in what your potential is. We're going to hold that space for you, and we're going to allow you to reach that potential and to give you a lot of trust. And I think that makes all the difference in the world for us to have allies, and to not just realize that even though we have women groups and we create groups for women to support each other, I think it's very important that, as all of you mentioned, that we talk about the male allies that step up. And especially during, I would say, my generation, I'll date myself, you really needed men to step in and say, I agree, I believe she can do it. I'm here to support the things that she's going to do, and I'm going to hold you to a level that you may not have been held to in the past. But that's because I'm holding a space for what I believe can come further and in the future.